Hey everyone, good evening. Hope you all are doing well. After my previous live, I have questions from so many different people about buying a property in Australia. And, there are so many questions I received regarding temporary visa holders like 489 visa holders, 491 visa holders. Can they buy a property in Australia? And, how to save up a deposit and how much money you will need. Should you buy an old house? Should you buy a new house? And there are different first home buyer grants that the Australian federal government and a little bit of state government also pumps into your first property in Australia. So every state is different. So I thought I'll just do a quick video because I must confess, after moving into my new house, I haven't been disciplined to do videos every week. I must apologize. I'm getting a lot of questions every day why I'm not posting diligently every week. I used to post 3 to 4 videos, but it's just not possible these days. It's just hectic. It is 11:45 p.m. on Sunday today, and I thought I should do this live before going to bed. And this is the time that I could squeeze in to do the live. So I'm sorry for those who are waiting for my videos and haven't got to it. All right, so let's get started with the topic. Buying your first property is a big milestone, irrespective of whether you're buying it in Australia, whether you're buying it in India. The first thing to have is a strong desire. Like, you should make that strong decision to buy a property. So in my case, looking back, my dad was in the state government, so we always had a nice government quarters to live. And my dad never bothered to buy a property, and he bought it only when he retired. Okay, only when he was retiring, he realized that we have to have our own space, and that's how he went and he constructed our house when he retired. So he then educated me and my brothers that we have to have our own property in our initial stages of life. And that's how, even in India, when I got married, my father insisted that I immediately after marriage I should step into my own house. And that's how the first property happened in India. So I always had the desire, property, we should have our own property. It's more like an identity for us. But after moving to Australia, it is more of a practical decision, and it's a good decision to buy a property simply because every week you will be paying your rent. Okay, it's not a monthly rent, it is a weekly rent, and every week you'll be paying not a very small amount if you've taken a separate house or a separate apartment. So you would rather think, instead of paying rent to someone else, I can pay for my loans. So I don't know about others, but I was desperately waiting to get my PR to get my first property. In that case, you will ask, well, are 489 visa holders eligible to buy a property? Can 491 visa holders buy a property? So technically, the answer is yes. But realistically, practically speaking, the problem would be that you are considered as a temporary visa holder. In that case, you are a foreign national, so you'll be paying an additional overseas tax. Like, it is like someone from another country investing in Australia. So it's not more considered as a property where you will live in, it's more of an investment, so you have an additional overseas tax. That is the first thing, you'll be paying additional money. The second problem, when 489 visa holders and 491 visa holders or similar temporary visa holders try to buy a property, the problem is the visa, your visa validity is limited. So clearly in your visa grant, it will be written as valid until whatever date. So whatever loan you get, the bank will be ready to give you a loan for that particular date or that particular year when your visa is expiring, not beyond that. because no one knows whether you will get a PR grant or not. So the bank will not be ready to take the risk. So the best thing 489 visa holders do is buy a car. So you can buy a car in a loan, because you'll be paying 2 or 3 years. So your visa will be definitely valid for 4 to 5 years. In that case, you can take a car loan, or you can take a personal loan, or any other loan that is like short termed, but not house loan. So this is definitely one question I had from lots and lots of people, whether 489 visa holders can buy a property, or 491 visa holders in future can buy a property. So this is the one of the main points that I wanted to address in today's live. So technically the answer is yes, and realistically these are the challenges that you will have in getting a home loan if you are on a temporary visa. Now, moving on to the property market, how it is done here. So there are, it is completely different. Okay, it's very different to what we do in India. Anything you start here, any process or anything, it's not like a quick one step process, you get it straight away. Okay, so even when you buy a property, it'll take months for you to actually absorb that you've bought the property, because there are so many processes in between, and there is no exact document that you will see. That, in India we have these stamp papers where you'll see, okay, this is agreement is written in your name. Your bank will have it obviously if you're on a loan, but still you'll know you've got documents like that. But here it's very different. So how the first thing starts by you looking at apps. So real estate apps. So we've done another video where I said all the important apps that you need to have in Australia. Real estate is the common app that they use to find a rental property, or if you're planning to buy a property, that is the only Bible. Okay, so you can choose and filter properties based on what you want. If you need an apartment, if you need a house, if you need a townhouse, there are different types of properties you get to choose. You can filter the properties based on the location. So if you're like in Melbourne, in particular suburb, you choose that particular suburb, and you can choose the surrounding kilometers, like 5 kilometer radius or 10 kilometer radius. You can choose the number of bedrooms you want. You can choose the number of bathrooms you want. Now, here I would definitely like to point out one thing which I don't understand in Australia. They'll have 4 bedroom, they'll have 5 bedrooms, but the amount of bathroom and toilet will be just one. I'll be like, why is it so underestimated? Especially in India, all of us are used to attached bathrooms. So most of us have like 3 bedroom. Every bedroom might have a bathroom, or minimum two, even in apartments. So here, that is one thing I made a mistake when I was filtering out properties. Is I always had minimum 3+ bedrooms and 2+ bathrooms. In that case, two things will happen. Either you will miss out on good properties when you're trying to filter them based on these criterias. The other thing what could happen is the properties will be very expensive. Okay, so this is the first step you can do even now, even when you're not in Australia, when you're planning to do. Always, I say, you look at the future, you look at how much you can afford, what is the property market. I've mentioned in my previous videos, like, I used to go to Darwin on real estate app on Gumtree to see how the houses look. It's always good to have a fresh mindset when you arrive here, but it's also good to be prepared. So that's the reason, I would advise you all, irrespective of whatever stage of your visa application you all are, I would encourage to go and see what are the prices, how the houses look like, and what are the kinds of properties that you like. Depending on the state, the property, just the look and feel of the properties will be different. For example, if you look at Darwin, so most of you might know, might not know. So Darwin got completely washed out in Cyclone Tracy in the late 60s. So the entire Darwin that is there today is reconstructed after the 1967 or whatever is the exact year. So it'll have mostly freshly built houses, new houses, modern houses. You do not find like a character old houses there. And every house in the newer suburbs. So how it is done in Australia is usually the government will have certain council approval for the lands to be released, and then they will develop that particular council. So that's how they develop and release plots in certain pockets of different cities, and that's how these real estates grow. It's not like you go and buy any land anywhere. So it's a different whole different system here. It'll take time for you all to understand and adjust and do your own bit of research. Now, so there are different types of houses, obviously. So first thing is for you all to know what is the price range and what is the kind of property you're like. Like I said, Darwin has all flashy, new, modern type of houses. If you go to, Victoria, you'll find newer, growing suburbs with newer type of buildings, but you will have the other character, old houses as well. Adelaide being one of the oldest cities, I find a lot of beautiful old character styled mansions and properties, which is my personal preference. So that is one thing that you need to know what kind of properties you would like. Okay. And so before you jump and go and see the property, the second thing I would advise you all to do is know your financial situation. How much is your affordability? How much you can buy? So the best thing is to walk into any bank and get advice based on your recent pay slips, how much ever you've got. So the other best thing would be to speak to a mortgage broker. So mortgage brokers would make your life much easier without getting any money from you. Okay, everything is taken care by them, and the bank, they will obviously get money from the bank for every repayment that you pay. So it's like we are doing a favor by getting the loan through them, but it is a mutual win-win scenario where both of us are benefited. So that's the case. So a mortgage broker will assess your financial situation based on your income, if you have a partner, spouse, if they're working, not working, how many children, how many dependents, and all your lifestyle expenses, how many cars you've got, how much of credit cards you have, how many debts you have, what is your credit score. So there are different risk factors that they use in actually analyzing and giving you like a ballpark picture of how much you can get. Or you can also get like a pre-approval. So these days, because of COVID, there are restrictions in people visiting the property. So in that case, the agents, real estate agents, would really prefer someone with a pre-approval. It's not like blankly you just walk into a house and see whether you like it, and then go to the bank and say, hey, you know what, I like that property, it's like 700,000, can I buy it? That it doesn't work like that. So you should have a clear picture of how much you can afford, like at least in the hundreds, like 400,000 or 500,000. What is your affordability? And I would definitely recommend you all to have that step cleared before you go and visit the property. Okay, so that is our second step. So first step would be, wherever you are at the moment, go to real estate app, choose different cities, look at the beautiful houses or even bad houses. Sometimes I'm like, oh, even doesn't look like Australian house. You might get that feel. So it is both. So just check out the houses and start dreaming. I've spoken about the power of dreaming, power of manifestations, power of affirmations. I strongly believe in this, and I'll tell you my story of how I got this property. Okay, so it's very, very interesting when you get your foot really firm on the ground and decide that you need a house. Okay, especially for me, I'm a person, when I look at that house, I really want it. So the first property I ever inspected was a 1920 constructed. It's 100-year-old property, and it was just massively beautiful. Even today, that's the best property I've seen. So that property had like 5 bedrooms, and it's a two-story house. I wouldn't call it a townhouse, but it's a two-story house, and it was just beautiful. The kitchen was completely done with wooden interiors, and it was massive. The kitchen was as big as this living space. So it was massive, it was huge, and the price tag also was huge. So I was naive and stupid to what, because they didn't quote a price on that property. They just said contact agent. So some properties are, dodgy like that, where you don't get a price tag. You don't even know how much it costs, but you just want to give it a try. So that's the first property I inspected, which I really, really, really miss till today. But the only drawback in that was there was no land, absolutely no backyard, no land, nothing, just a huge house and a car park. So that was one negative that I found, because obviously the kids can't play, and if they throw ball in the house, I'm going to say, go out and play, but there's no place to go out and play. So that's another thing. So you have to go in person and see. The pictures can be very, very deceptive. It look beautiful and big in the picture, but in person, when you go and see, it might not be as big as it seems. And just the look and feel of the house, you might not like it. You might not like the car park, it could be too tiny. There are so many factors that will help you to decide whether you like or not. So the way that it is done here is, when you look at a property, you like it, there's something called inspection. Okay, so inspections is where you go there and see the property. It's not like any time you can go. They will have some set timings for you to come and see the property, or you could call the agent and request them for an inspection if there's no open inspection. So every house, if you're buying a property, it's like 30 minutes. Okay, 15 to 30 minutes. That's it. You get only 15 to 30 minutes. You look at the property. If you like it, they'll give you an offer form, and you will have to, write, they'll give you a range. Say, for example, 300,000 to 340,000. So you can write any amount from 300 to 340 is the range that the person who is selling the house has said that this is the money that I can accept in this range. Obviously, if I'm going to quote 300,000, if you're going to quote 325, you have more chances of getting that house. So this is how it works. You fill that offer form, you give it to the agent will take it to the owner will say and shortlist whoever has got it, and then they will sign a contract, so the house becomes available to under contract. Okay, so I have maintained a spreadsheet. I will do a detailed video of different steps that are there and how long roughly it takes. What are the things that you need to see when you're buying a house? So there are lots of things we don't know, right? And it is a first thing that we do here, without parents, without any elders guiding us. So it's kind of scary. You always tend to think someone will cheat you. What if something goes wrong? It's a huge amount for us to lose. So it is a very, very huge, scary decision, but you can definitely do it with a bit of research. And that's where I'm here to help you all, enlighten you all, make you all aware with all the mistakes that I made, so you all don't do that mistake. Okay, so that is the very next step, going for an inspection, seeing the property. If you like it, you give in your offer and give it to the agent. Now, when you choose a property, it depends on what, everybody has their own criteria to decide. So I had three main factors that I really, really concentrated when I bought my property. First is the location of school. So school, every house or every particular property, wherever it is located, it is zoned to a particular school, especially primary school. So if the primary school is not good, there's no point in me buying a house there and traveling somewhere else to enroll my kids in school. Or if it's a public school, even better. My first son, he goes to a public school, which is one of the best in Adelaide. And my other son, because he was 4 years, they could not take him in a public school. So he goes to a private Catholic school, which is a little bit far from my place. So I drive him every day, going and coming. It's such a hassle. And, imagine two people studying in private school. You will be paying the school fee, you'll be paying the mortgage. It is not practically, it could be possible. But for me, I considered no. If I would invest that money on the property and get a property zoned to a nice school, a public school, so the kids can go to a better school and we can live in a good suburb where we lived earlier. So that was my first criteria, school. And the second thing that I really wanted is closer to the city. Especially my husband, he just didn't want to go to the outer suburbs where we could get, double the size of a land for the same price. But he just didn't want to go. So the place that we bought a house, this is literally 7 minutes to the city center from my house in a bus. If we take the car, it's 4 to 5 minutes, depending on the traffic and the peak hour. So it's very, very close to the city, roughly 3.5 kilometers. So it's very close, and but you still get the feel of, a calm suburb, not like buzzy, buzzy city type. So the third thing that we really wanted is a large block of land for the boys to play. So that I can just send them out and say, just go out and play. Don't disturb us in the house or break the house. All right. And so these are the three things that we decided. And so based on these three factors is what we were looking at houses. Now, the big question comes whether you should buy a new house or you should buy an old house. So this completely comes to a personal decision. I can't tell buy an old house, or nobody could convince me to buy a new house. So I'll tell you my justification of why I chose an old house, and then you can make your decision on whatever you want. Obviously, based on the financial situation, this will differ as well. Now, so the one thing, a main difference between a new house and an old house is the land size. And all of us agree that the value of the property is the size of the land. And it is very interesting. Most of the cases in Australia, it's not like in India, you buy a house, you live there till you retire, right? Like that is your own house, you just live there. Here, everybody, most of them that I know, they move from one property to another, even if it's their own property, maybe within 10 years, 8 to 10 years, especially Indians, because we always tend to progress. We always tend to, go up. You want to, move to the next level. You can't stay there stagnant, most of them. So that is the reason. If you buy a house, imagine it's going to be for 8 to 10 years, and then you're definitely going to upgrade because your needs will change, kids will grow up, your lifestyle changes, your income changes. Yeah, whatever income I was like 3 years ago, that it's completely different now. 5 years ago, it's totally different. So every year you think as one step higher. So obviously 8 to 10 years, you will be in a different set of mind, in a different lifestyle, and you will need, or you will think of the need to move to a different property. Okay. So think that, or understand that, or accept that. Most of them, I have seen, have made this mistake of thinking that, this is our first house. So you invest all your dreams, all your hopes into that one house, and you spend all the money possible, like putting all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. So invest and spend all the money in that one property. And after 5 or 10 years, there's no difference in the equity. The property value does not increase because all you have invested is for the interiors. Yeah. And your interior choice and needs could be very different from mine. So whatever you do cosmetically inside the house does not really increase the value of the property, unless if it's like a huge new kitchen renovation. You've done a complete kitchen renovation. You have constructed one extra toilet and shower. In that case, the value of the property will increase. But if you're just doing some interiors, if you're just doing some minor tweaks and investing a lot of money, then it's not going to make the value of the property increase. So that's why we wanted a large block of land, because even if somebody is going to, demolish this property into, dust, they would still, the land would sell for that property. So that's what you should see. I mean, I saw when I got the property as an equity, because here everybody buys another property based on the first property's equity, how much ever it's increasing. So that is the reason we wanted a big block of land. And if I'm going to buy a new house, there is no way that I will get such a big block of land. Okay. So that is one thing that you will need to consider if you're buying a new property or if you're buying an old property. The block of land, if you're happy with a 360 square meter land, then happily you can go for a new property. So if you don't like the look and feel of such old properties, you like nice glass and glossy new, which is what most of us prefer. In that case, you are better off with a newer property. I am a person who does not like that flashy, new, modern type of property. I like, I don't know if many of you have known about, the Kerala style houses. in Tamil Nadu specifically, there's a place called Karaikudi, and those type of real Chettinadu style, old style houses is my type. So I wanted such character property. So when I saw this property, I definitely wanted it. And I'll tell you the story how I got this property. So I liked it. I gave an offer, and next day the agent called me. The owner is happy with the offer. He wants to go with it. As the agent was speaking to me over the phone, he received an email from some other person who has given a higher amount than mine. Okay, so whatever money that I put in, he put an additional money, and he said he wants this property. So the agent called me. I'll go speak to the owner and tell you what is the outcome. So the agent, after an hour, he called me and he said the owner decided to go with the higher money. So I'm so sorry, you're not getting the property. Okay, I was almost about to cry, and I was praying so hard that night. Something should happen. That guy should not get a loan. How bad of me. But I was just thinking, I was just praying that I definitely need this house. I don't know what made me feel it. I just felt like this house is mine. I just need it. So it was like a miracle. On Tuesday, this happened. I spoke to the agent on Sunday, and Tuesday morning, the agent calls me and says, I'm sorry, that person's loan didn't go through. He was not eligible for that money. So this is the problem that people do. They just put some number on the paper and offer it, and then he went to the bank and checked for his loan eligibility. He was not eligible for that amount. So they told him, you can't borrow that much amount. And this property fell through, and then I grabbed it. And that's how I got it. So see the power of visualization and affirmation. I just visualized being in this house, living in this house, my kids playing in this house. So all of that really, really helped me to manifest and get this property. This property was really, really that I think that's the feel that you should get when you we visited for 3 months. Every weekend we were visiting properties. We were inspecting properties in all the directions of Adelaide. So we saw eastern, western, southern, everything, and finally we settled on the northeast. Okay, so it was an interesting journey, but it's very tiring. Trust me, it's very depressing. The houses that you like, it'll go under offer very quickly. The houses that you don't like, you'll be more forcing yourself to buy that property, thinking that you might not get a better deal. So you'll think, oh, this is cheap. Okay, that's fine. I can take the bus, I can take the train, I'll take that property. But I think the more important stuff is really feeling that this is the property that you want to live. This is the property you want to grow your children. I think that instinct when you look at that property is very, very important. Okay, so enough of my thoughts. Let's go to the next main thing that I want to cover about the first home buyer's grant. So, this is another important thing when we talk about buying an old or a new house. Now, when you buy a new house, the purposes, so we have to understand why the government will give you money to buy a house. Okay, like I always say, nothing comes for free. Nothing comes for free. So the government, like I said, they will have the plots released in few suburbs. Obviously those newer suburbs are not going to be closer to the city, so they will be in the outer regions of any city wherever you go, and they want to promote that particular area. So the government will give you money. It is like an encouragement for you to buy a property in the upcoming newer suburbs. So they are called the first home buyers grant. Now every state has different schemes. So though it's a federal pocket, it is dependent on the different states. For example, this is one reason, if you're aspiring to go to Darwin, please run to Darwin. Darwin has such amazing first home buyers grant. I can't tell you. You will not, I mean, this is disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, and your situation might be different, because I don't want you to take my advice straight and go and say, oh, you told me, but now they're asking. Most of my friends who worked with me in my previous organization, they've bought properties without spending a single dollar as deposit. Okay, so it's that easy if you're buying a new fresh house. All right, so the government will give you money. There's no stamp paper. you will be spending roughly, depending on how much your property value is, 30,000 to 20, like 5%. 5% of your property value you'll be paying as stamp duty. It's massive. Okay, so that will be taken care by the government. Whatever grant they give, the stamp cost is taken. There's no deposit. The builders will give you some additional benefits if you're going to build through them, and the stamp duty will be taxed only for the land, because you're buying the land and then you're constructing the house. But when you're buying a full, like an old property, you'll be paying stamp duty for the entire house. So these are the pros and cons people weigh, and most people prefer to buy a new property because they feel they save a lot of money when they're trying to buy a property. And if you don't have a huge savings, if you there are different options obviously, but then if you still feel you want to play safe without much deposit, without much upfront cost, without much money, so you can go for the newer property. So it has its own advantages in the first home buyers grant. So a lot of money you will save if you're happy with new flashy houses, a decent sized block, and the plan that you like, then you can go for it. Okay, so that is the main advantage of the first home buyers grant, which takes the pressure of saving for a deposit and stressing about it. But it's always good immediately when you come, maybe after 6 months, meet a mortgage broker, get an overall picture with your current income. Okay, imagine if you're getting 55,000 per annum, you might be eligible for an X number of money for the loan. So from now you can start planning and saving towards your home loan. So everybody, I would advise, whatever money you have. But even we in Darwin, we thought, even if it's on a 489, I was happy to buy maybe a 2 bedroom 1 bathroom apartment, because I didn't want to pay $380 per week, okay, for my home loan. You would rather pay the same amount for your instead of paying rent, you would pay for your home loan. So that was our thought. And most of the people, we think like that. Instead of paying rent, we could always buy a property. So that's a very, very wise decision of buying a particular property. So now when you buy a property, I've told you about the advantages of a newer property like first home buyers grant. But when you come to an established or an old property, the issue that I am facing at the moment, the issue that I'm not going. I mean, I didn't have a chance to make videos. I didn't have a chance for so many different things for the past. I don't even know now. I have lost count. 2 weeks. My house looks like a tradie house. It's because you have your own needs and you want to invest so much of your dreams and desires onto this property, which is not wrong, but still there is limitations in how much you have to do and how much you can do. So I'm planning separate videos on each. So for example, I had a huge palm tree, which is maybe more than 15 feet. It was a huge palm tree, which is roughly 60 years old, which was in my front yard, and it was taking up my entire front yard. There's nothing I can do, and those leaves, the palm leaves, kept falling off, and there was a huge maintenance. And with so little time, it was practically impossible for all of us to sit and clean every day and do it. So the quotes that I got to remove that one damn palm tree from that front yard, I got quotes up to $8,500 to remove one tree with the root. They gave me quote up to 8,500, and finally we settled upon one person who really knew what to do for $5,000. And I want to do a separate video about what you will do when you try to get such tradespeople, how to select them, the advantages and disadvantages of working with Indian trades people. Okay, I'm going to have good stories, and I'm going to have very, very disappointing bad stories of taking Indian people just because they are cheap. I had a flooring done, and it is a disaster. Now I had another person, Australian, coming and fix it for me. Okay, so there are advantages and disadvantages in hiring Indian people to do the job, especially the trades where they're licensed, not licensed, because you just want to get that job and you've spent heaps on a house for deposit. You don't want to spend another thousands and thousands and thousands. But we both, me and my husband, we had a clear plan of, this much will be our deposit, this much we're going to spend, and we have a separate amount of money allocated for the tasks that we have decided to do. So when we saw this house, we knew what are the works that we have to do to make it in a way that we would like, that would suit the needs of our family. So we had that pocketed, we had that planned, and so now I'm spending that money. If I didn't have this plan in my head of how much all this is going to cost, then I would have a nightmare, trust me. Because everything, even throwing the dump, the mud, that the person, when they removed the tree, there was a heaps of mud that came up, that's called mulch. And to move that from my front yard to the backyard, they asked me $120 an hour, and they said it's got to be an 8-hour job. So you can do the math in your head, and how much daunting that particular thought would have been. And then I got an Afghani tradie who came and did that job for $500 for me, which was cheap compared to the other job. So everything costs money here. Okay. So somebody will break your concrete. It takes money to break your concrete. To put your concrete away, it takes money. And to put it in a recycling bin, that takes money. So every damn thing is expensive. But I just want to give you the worst case realistic picture, what I'm going through now. So you are prepared on what to expect. So in spite of knowing all this, I chose to buy an established property for the simple reason I like the look and feel of it, and the prime location, closer to a good school, and I can go to my office in 7 minutes in a bus. And so all these advantages, which is what I found. There are so many other people, most of the people I know, settle for newer properties, because you get first home buyers grant. There's not much upfront deposit, and you get a fresh new home, and it's modern, it's flashy, and you just like it the way you want. And if you're constructing, you can have your own plan that you can design, you can customize, you can do vastu, you can do whatever you want, because it's your block of land, it's your idea, it's your floor plan. Okay, so I think these are the main things that I wanted to cover to help you to decide which you want to buy, old house, new house, what is first home buyer grant. And it completely differs. The assessment for home loan differs between states and states. Okay, I know my friend who does a business and does not pay much tax, so 20, maybe $15,000. She shows as tax. Her husband's earning is 50 to 55,000, and they got a house for, say, I think 560,000, 580,000. So Darwin assessment criteria is completely different. So if a couple is showing that income in Adelaide or Melbourne, I doubt whether they could get that particular borrowing capacity. So the borrowing capacity, the risk analysis, and the loan criteria completely differs from state to state on how it's done, because every state's real estate value, everything is different. And so it's better to get good mortgage brokers, and please get a second opinion. I had an Australian mortgage broker who gave me a different picture, different set of strict stringent rules. And I had another Greek lady who just worked for me like a breeze. She is the queen who made this happen within short span of time in that COVID pandemic period. Okay, so when you're buying a property, if you don't want a lease break, what are the things that we can do? So there are a lot of things. I think my house journey has been with bits and pieces of everything. So I could share my experiences. So if you have specific comments, make sure to comment in the comment below, and I'll answer them. And let's quickly go on to a few questions if we have. Thanks a lot for this topic. Thank you, Majib and Deepa. Definitely, you will own a house soon. what's the cost for constructing a new home and how long it takes. You'll be surprised at how quick they construct houses here. And if you, honestly speaking, if you look at the construction when it's done, you will not have the guts or the courage to even have a nail on the wall, or even slap or throw your husband on the wall, because he's going to fall in the next room. So it'll just be minute, tiny, fragile wood. Okay. And what is the other one called? It's called gyprock. So the external wall would be brick walled, and the internal one will be gyprock. It's like a false ceiling, what they do in India. So it'll be like that. You can knock it and check it how it is. So it's a very shocking way of how they build houses here, and it happens within few months. So the entire structure will be ready within few months, but the interiors and the wiring and plumbing and all takes a bit of time. But within 3 to 6 months, depending on how fussy you are and your requirement, the timing might change. Hello, Om. Came online to see you live. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Hello, Paramasivam. How are you? So I think it was useful. If you have a specific question regarding buying a property, make sure to comment and reach out to me. And I promise from next week, because the next week we've got Diwali. So I'll try to do a live on my Tamil channel, but hopefully after next week, it'll be settled. My painting will be done. We are planning to furnish the property during Black Friday sale, because we get very good deals for Black Friday. So we'll do that, and probably by December, I should all be set from different locations of the house peacefully, with good lighting, with good sounds, without much noise and without much distraction. I should be able to do my videos as per my plan. I really hope that happens pretty quick. Even I'm exhausted. I'm tired every day managing all these house tasks, managing tradies, calling people, getting codes, and it's just too much. I think I just did so many things at a single time, and that's why it is really, really, tiring for me. But now I've decided to take one day at a time, only one task at a time, and I think that'll settle it a bit. All right. Yes, Faisal, I really speak Tamil. That's my mother tongue. And I've got another channel called Priya's Aussie Tamil channel. Please check it out if you want to see my Tamil videos. I thank you all for your time, and I'll see you all in the next live, hopefully next week.